I am your friend, Dr. Charles Apoki. I want to review the Zelensky White House experience. Number one, don't start a fight or any project, even marriage or ministry, under the prompting of any person. No. You marry who you want to marry, because they will not be there when the marriage starts having the normal challenges of marriage. Marry when you want to marry. Marry how you want to marry. Marry where you want to marry. Because marriage is like pepper soup that you cook for yourself. When you drink it, it's hot. Kisium, you will sneeze. Catarrh will come from your nostrils. Tears will come from your eyes. It's like ministry. When I wanted to go into ministry, a lot of people encouraged, made promises, and all that. When I got here, they were not there. They didn't come. I had to face my life alone. When you break away from a church, some people will follow you. When the time to buy land, to start building and all that come, they will go back to where they came from. When NATO was pushing their expansionist tendency towards the former Russian states, USSR states, and towards the boundary of Russia, those states should have known the consequences of using your household, your sitting room, as a prayer cell. If you use your house as a prayer cell and people come to pray, you will invite them both with their angels and their demons. And before you know it, you are gradually becoming a gossip or an occultist. The NATO North Atlantic Treaty Organization countries, maybe they have very young leaders. They forgot the July 1962 Cuban missile crisis between Nikita Khrushchev and John F. Kennedy. American planes flying over Cuba, spy planes, found out that the Russians were building a site for missiles to be located in Cuba. And the Americans reacted very sharply and blockaded Cuba so that no new materials could be brought to the site. It was a tense 13-day crisis that got to the verge of nuclear war, and reason prevailed. And Nikita Khrushchev stopped the construction of the missile site, dismantled them, asked the United States to also remove their missiles that were located in Turkey. Reason prevailed. Negotiation prevailed. Peace, the desire for peace, prevailed. They removed their pride, particularly Nikita Khrushchev. Don't start a fight depending on anyone's brain, anyone's body, anyone's budget, and anyone's blessing. You go appreciate tire. You go explain tire. You go beg tire. You go appeal tire. Zelensky had gone to the United States several times to thank them and appreciate their contribution towards the war effort and to appeal. You see a lot of churches that do fundraising. People want to bury their mothers, bury their fathers. They will form WhatsApp group and all that. It is because they are planning with other people's blessings and budgets in mind. I buried my parents, two of them, 3 weeks apart, when I was 31 or 32. I didn't raise funds from any person, and I didn't owe any person. I planned according to my ability. So, Zelensky allowed himself to be used as a pawn by desiring to join NATO. And when the referendum was done in Crimea, and people in Crimea opted to join Russia, and people in the Donetsk region and all that, Russian-speaking people opted to become part of Russia. Zelensky should have been very wise. There is a kind of republic between Romania and Romania and Moldova. Is there. It's not recognized by many countries. Romania allowed it. I think Moldova allowed it. It is there. They're just living there. If Donetsk and Donbass and Crimea chose to go with Russia, Romania should have, Ukraine should have applied wisdom. But the Americans and the Europeans were looking for somebody who could confront Russia. They did it in Georgia. The results, we have not been able to determine it. So Zelensky found himself in like grass between two giants. Don't start a fight with a powerful neighbor because he is an enemy to your distant friends. A lot of the European countries, the United States, are far from Russia. Don't start a fight with your neighbor because he's an enemy to your distant friends, very far away from you, hoping that the children of your friends will come and fight with you or fight for you. When the chips are down, you will fight alone with your children against another person's, somebody bigger than you. That's what happened to Zelensky. And on social media and some things that are happening in Nigeria now, you will see people prompting people to fight. Most of the things trending on social media are fights originated by fans. They push people to battles they might not win. The resultant effect is the Zelensky effect. Now, when I started ministry, people promised and did a lot of said a lot of things. At a point, self-preservation becomes the game. America has reached a stage where the Pharaoh that knew not Joseph is in power. Donald Trump is the Pharaoh that knew not Joseph. And the interest of America is uppermost in his mind. And Zelensky went there. J.D. Vance, Vice President, Trump's hard men confronted him. He looked so helpless and frustrated. It was like a senior prefect trying to negotiate on behalf of the students with the principal and the vice principal. I could see his body language. Zelensky is now running from pillar to post, kitty kata. How did they say kitty kitty kata kata? Because he wanted to bam with the big boys. And the big boys might not be around when the bombs drop on your people. So the big boys are wise. I was to be ordained into a denomination. to go and start a fight somewhere about gender issues. And I was driving from Warri. I was thinking about what to do. And immediately I crossed the bitter glass bridge, the Lord ministered to me with when the Pharaoh that knew not Joseph comes into power, you will be stranded. So Zelensky is confronting the Pharaoh that knew not Joseph. And Millie Jackson rightly said, don't start what you can't finish. Bang, 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 bang. Frustration ain't no fun. Pretty good, ain't good enough. Zelensky started what he could not finish. He has tried, very brave man. The Ukrainian people have tried. Their local ammunition, technology, and manufacturing industry has blossomed. A lot of the aid that was given to Zelensky was to boost the American arm industry, ammunition manufacturing industry. They didn't give cash, you know. So Zelensky was a pawn in the game between big boys. And one of the big boys has decided to do what most world powers do: intimidation and exploitation of weakness. They know that Zelensky is in a very tight corner. He will need peace. So they want his rare earth minerals in exchange for a war that the one war or the other provoked Russia. You might not agree with me. If you don't agree with me, ask yourself why JFK, John F. Kennedy, reacted aggressively to the location of missiles in Cuba during Nikita Khrushchev, as I said earlier, on July 1962. Now, Zelensky did not ask for anything unusual. Guarantee of safety. Just guarantee. Because in the agreement signed between JFK's regime and Nikita Khrushchev, there was a guarantee that America will not invade Cuba. Cuba is not far from Florida. That America will not invade Cuba. And they did not after the Bay of Pigs War. And so, Zelensky was asking, what guarantee do I have that Russia will not invade me again? Can you guarantee that? They said, who is he to ask for such stuff? Now, that brings me to a serious point. That's Zelensky with technology. You know, there were nuclear warships in this Baltic Sea. The Baltic Sea now. Yes. Black Sea, where Zelensky's country is located. They are fighting with some of the equipment they manufacture, drones and all kinds. What of a poor, underdeveloped African nation that is at war? Remember, America refused to give Nigeria ammunition to fight Boko Haram because of gender issue differences. So imagine the way Zelensky was seated, a poorly educated, underdeveloped African president sitting with with the president and vice president of America and his negotiating team. He would have been intimidated more than what was done to Zelensky. Then imagine if they have your track record of your criminality, of your money in the United States. They have access to your children's records, your wife's records, and they can topple you any day they want. You will sign a stupid agreement. And that's why many African countries are where they are. Remember what France did to Haiti? Remember what France did when they were leaving Guinea? They blocked all the sewage system. I recently saw a video where France was destroying SUVs. French companies were destroying SUVs as they were leaving one African country. The same intimidation Zelensky experienced, many African countries and leaders have experienced several cases more intimidating than that. So don't be surprised why our currencies and our economies and some of the decisions we take taken by our leaders are taken by them. It's the Zelensky experience. Now, only fools clamor for war. Only the children of the poor die during warfare in the trenches. Most times, the children of the elite are in other countries, are in the palace, they don't die during war. Only fools clamor for war because they don't have properties that will be destroyed. And if you are a rich man clamoring for war, your properties, your factories become prime target. Now the war is foolish. An $8 bullet can kill a professor. And so you use ammunition to destroy what has taken years and millions to build. Then after, you start soliciting for funds to rebuild such destroyed cities. Look at Gaza. Look at Gaza. In ruins. They will soon start raising money to rebuild Gaza. Look at Gaza. Donald Trump wants to take possession of Gaza and rebuild it. For who? Who will control it? Don't let people lead you to war. Don't let the elite lead you to war. They will run away. If peace deals usually end wars, peace deals usually end wars, why don't we start with peace to avoid war? Remember, no person really wins in a war. We'll all suffer losses. Don't let somebody push you to fight with your wife, your children, or your parents. You all will lose. That is my take on the Zelensky experience in the White House. Don't start what you can't finish. Choose your battles. Choose your wars. Choose your fights. Ogbawara Koto. A giant needs to be wise so that it can live long. He can live long. I have a webinar coming up on the 14th and on the 15th of March. Send a message to +234 80 21 21 92 62. The admin will send you the flyer. We have properties for sale. Contact that same number, +234 80 21 21 92. God bless you. It's my take. You can disagree.